The Tobago Business Chamber notes that discussion has arisen on the political platform concerning the percentage of the Tobago workforce which is employed by the THA. We have consistently called upon the government and the leaders in Tobago to ensure that there is a robust, resilient, well-resourced private sector that can take up the slack in terms of the workforce and that can absorb persons who may be unemployed. What we've seen, however, is the exact opposite. We have seen over the years the deliberate destruction of the private sector, the dismantling of all the processes and procedures which would support a viable and sustainable private sector in order to ensure that there's the continuing dependency upon the Tobago House of Assembly. This, we have said, is unsustainable in the long term, it's unsustainable in the medium term, and it really is unsustainable even in the short term, because no country can survive where you have 60% of the workforce being employed by the government. And then when you look at the annual budgetary presentations from the THA and you look at the annual budgetary allocations from central government, you have 88% of Tobago's budget, 88% of the THA's budget goes towards recurrent expenditure. This is unsustainable. We have asked the government repeatedly to take the necessary steps to ensure the revitalization of direct foreign investment into Tobago by immediately repealing the Foreign Investment Act. We have made this call several times. That has been the biggest obstacle and block to direct foreign investment in Tobago. In a scenario where Trinidad and Tobago is crying out, desperately in need of foreign exchange, you have the government still maintaining this absurd, archaic, and obsolescent piece of legislation which is blocking direct foreign investment. All other countries in the Caribbean are welcoming foreign investment. They are encouraging initiatives to bring in foreign investment. Yet we in Tobago are so foolishly clinging on to this absurd piece of legislation which is blocking direct foreign investment. We repeat the call again for the government to immediately repeal the Foreign Investment Act and allow direct foreign investment into Tobago. We've also made the call for the removal of VAT from all goods and services in Tobago, because we say this is going to be an immediate boost and fillip to the economy in Tobago, in that it will now encourage persons who may want to retire and come to Tobago for their retirement, because they will have an immediate savings on all their goods and services of 12.5%. There are many ways that the government can inject revitalization into the private sector in Tobago. At present, the stipulation and restrictions on beaches being closed, that ought to be lifted and removed, because most Trinidadians who want to come to Tobago with their families, they must have access to the beaches in order to have a full family vacation. These are simple things, these are basic things that can be done, and we ask that the government, instead of paying lip service to the idea of trying to revive the private sector in Tobago, that they do the simple, tangible things that are easily achievable, which can be done, and ensure that you have that. We're also asking for vaccinations to be increased, and we have said that if it is that persons do not do it voluntarily, the government ought to consider putting a timeline of 1st January 2022 as the deadline date for mandatory vaccinations to ensure that our economy is able to reopen and get a kickstart for the year 2022. Otherwise, we will be facing 1st January 2023, and we will be still having this type of debate and discussion with no end in sight, because the reality is COVID-19 is not going anywhere soon, and we have to learn to live with it and deal with it and still save lives while preserving livelihoods.